Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I have a card project for you. This was a card project that was inspired by this card that I received from my upline Wanda Williams. So let's just get started. Okay, here is the card that Wanda sent me, and the first two cards that I made, I needed a card for someone who was not well. So I wanted a get well card. This one is the one I put together. I did something a little different on the background. I used the 3 daisies, I changed the colors, and I put sending healing vibes, and on the inside I put another daisy and said wishing you a quick and complete recovery. So that was the first card I made with this. The second card, I wanted to experiment with some different colored daisies, and I used different colors than Wanda did here. Hers, I'm not sure whether this is Daffodil Delight or not, but I used Pineapple Punch, and I used the lighter of the greens, and I can't think of the name right now, but it'll come to me. And again, I made these two exactly the same, just with different colored daisies. So I thought that today I would show you how I made this, and I'm going to change my colors up again. So this time I'm doing this in the purples and the lavenders. So I'm using a piece of Gorgeous Grape, 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then I have 2 pieces of Purple Posy that are 3 3/4 by 5. And then I have some scrap in the Gorgeous Grape, in Highland Heather, and in Garden Green. And I used Old Olive here. I used Pear Pizzazz on those leaves of the lighter, the pink with the pink. And I think this is also Garden Green. Yeah, I think so. The one that Wanda used was Garden Green. But I love the Garden Green with the purples. I think that's just a lovely color combination. So what do we need to do this? I am using this pretty Scripty 3D folder, and that's what I used on these two. And I've already run mine through my embossing folder. And the other thing I'm using is the Healing Hugs stamp set. And I'm using the Sending You the Healing Vibes, Wishing You a Quick and Complete Recovery. So that's what I'm using for making this card. So the only thing I would say about putting your piece in here is watch which way the script is running, because if you end up putting it in like this, the script is running across the long way, and that might look a little funny on this. So you want to make sure you know which way your script is running and how it's going to show up on your card front here. Now I ended up using, I tried using both Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape ink, and I settled on Gorgeous Grape. And let's see, I need a piece of scratch paper here, which I'm going to bring out, and I'm going to take my piece of card that I've run through my embossing folder, and I'm just going to bring up that color. So I'm taking a tiny bit off of that, and I'm going to just run this back and forth across my page here, trying not to stop any place so that I get too much of a smudge here. If you just run it across, then you don't get any of those sort of round looking hesitation marks here. And you do get a few just because it's hard to not get any. And the closer you can get to starting it off the page and running it across the page, the better off you are as far as not having hesitation marks and round circle marks on here. Now, that's pretty good, but this part in the center isn't as dark as I want it. So I'm going to run across those again. And you'll notice, because I'm starting off the page on this, that I'm getting a few darker marks around the edge. So that caused me to just go ahead and use my sponge dauber here to sponge around the edges of this card. And I kind of like getting those corners perhaps a little bit more just for definition. So there we go. A little bit more on the corners, and that looks like it's all ready to go. Now I'm going to move my ink out of the way for the time being. Now, this card, on these two, I used a little bit of this twine. This is our linen thread, and I've got a piece of my linen thread here, and I don't know how much this is. That's 16 inches. That's 32 inches. And that's another, so about 38 inches here, because I want to go around this card a bunch of times. So my script is running across this way, and this is right side up. So I want to run my linen thread along the bottom here. So I'm just going to anchor my thread on here first, and then come across and around. And I'm going to do that 3 times. And it looks like I had way too much thread there. So I'll tell you what I had left. I think we had almost with 38 inches. And I end up with a little bit more than 12 inches. So I'd say 30 inches is probably plenty. So I went around, but I got another use for that, that twine. So there we go. Now this is ready to go on the front of my card because I raised the flowers, so I didn't think it was necessary to raise the panel. So I'm going to just add some snail here. I should be using my silicone mat here instead of this piece of paper. And let me get my snail. I didn't get too close to the edge on this one, so I'm going to do that again. There we go. So this is ready to go on my card front. I'm centering this so it has a nice big border. I liked that look. And let's see, I've got a little piece of linen thread sticking out here. So let me see if I can pull this up and see what happened. Yes, it just moved out of its place there. There we go. So there we go. We have our card layering piece on there. Now then, I can do something about my daisies. So what I decided to do was to cut the daisies, and by the way, I did this whole card only using punches, which was kind of fun. So I have my medium-sized daisy punch. Isn't it fun to have one that's a little bit smaller? I love this punch. And I cut out, I've already made some of my flowers here, so I'm just going to cut out a couple so I can show you exactly what I did. So I cut out my couple of daisies here using my medium daisy punch. Then using my 1/2 inch circle punch, I cut myself a daisy center from here, from my scrap of the Gorgeous Grape. And what I've done is I've taken my daisies here, and using my Tombow glue, I put just a dot of glue here, a dot of glue on my daisy here. Sorry, got a little interruption there. All right, so what I'm going to do is put my daisy, as long as your daisy centers are directly one over the other, it makes a perfect double petal look that you want for a fuller looking daisy. And if you find that you're off, chances are you're really not centered over that second circle. And as soon as you get yourself centered over that circle, everything fits just right. There we go. Now I'm going to put another little dollop of glue here, and I have cut my little center here. I'm going to corral that glue back in there a little bit and put my dark purple center on my daisy. Okay, so now I have made ahead of time the other 3 daisies that I need to make my card. So I've got my 4 daisies here, and then what we're going to do is punch out of this green here with our leaf punch. And you really don't need but about, oh, I think 3, maybe 4 of these leaves will do. Let's punch 3, and I've got some extras cut if we need them. And so I'm all ready to go to build my flowers on the front of my card here. And for this, I am using dimensionals, and I'm going to put one of the larger dimensionals on the back of this daisy and put that into place kind of right up here in the corner. This second daisy, I'm going to put some snail on the back of it, and I'm going to put that one flat on the card here. And then my last one, I am going to raise up on dimensionals again, and that way there's a little difference in the height of some of the flowers here, and put this daisy underneath the petals of this one, but right along this side. And I think that makes a nice little scene up in the corner. Now on the leaves, I'm going to cut one of the leaves off of this and put these 2 like right, well, let's see, where am I going to put them? Like right under there. I'm just going to dry fit these until I know exactly where I want to put them. I'm going to cut this one off so that I get 3 separate leaves, and I'm just going to experiment with where I want to put them on the card. These 2 seem to still be attached, so that's fine. I think I'm going to put them right down here, and I'm going to cut this one into 3 separate leaves so I can use 2 for the inside, and I'm going to add one more. Oops, where did that go? It squirted away. There it is. I'm going to add one more right in here, and I think that's going to look really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and put some snail on those and put those into place. There we go. I've got my daisies and my leaf set on my card. Now I think I'll do a little bit of stamping. And in order to do the stamping, I'm going to need, let's see, I'm trying to think. I think I wanted to use this. And I've got my 2 stamps mounted here. And I'm going to bring back my Gorgeous Grape ink here. And let's see, this one is Sending You Healing Vibes. So I'm going to stamp this here on this piece of Highland Heather, enough so that I can get my sentiment label put around that. Isn't that a pretty font? I just love it. This is the label punch I'm using, and this one is the Story label punch. And I'm going to set that up here so that it's right where I want it. Oops. And punch that one out. And then pick it up from the floor where it flew off to. And then the other stamping that I'm going to do is on my piece of Purple Posy for the inside of the card, and that's this one, Wishing You a Complete Recovery. I'm going to set that down and get that on here straight. I think that's pretty straight. And I'm going to put that, pardon my head here, right up here on our card. And I just love that script. So pretty. Okay, so this is now ready to go on the inside of my card. So I will add some snail here. And put this into place here on the inside of my card. And I've got just a little bit of glue up there that I don't want. Okay, great. Then I'm going to take my daisy here and I'm going to put quite a bit of snail on this because I really want this to stick down. Right down here, going off the Purple Posy and onto the Gorgeous Grape. That way all three colors are there. And then I've got my two leaves that were left over here, and I'm going to add a little bit of snail to the back of those and put them into place on my daisy here. There we go. And let's see, do I want to put them both up there? Yeah, maybe I do. I'm going to put both of them right up there. And so there, the inside of my card is finished. Now I'm going to take this label here and I'm going to take my Dauber and I'm just going to go around the edges and sponge the edges of this little label here to give it a little further definition, and that way it's not quite so stark going on the front of this that's got all of these colors on it. And so I think that's going to work fine just right along there. So I am going to take some dimensionals, and with this label what I found was that it's big enough that if you just put dimensionals all the way across, it kind of rocks back and forth. So I decided that the way to deal with this one is to put dimensionals on 4 sides, and that way it's real stable and stays put right where you want it. Okay, then when I put this in place here, I'm putting it right over my twine, and it holds my twine in place. Now I had this piece of twine that was left, and it was a little over 12 inches, and I think that's enough to make a little bow here. So I'm going to cut that in half, and let's see if I can't put together a little bow that can go on our front of our card here. There we go. So I'm going to take this little bow and I'm going to take a glue dot here and fold it over on itself to make almost a little sausage, and put it on the back of my bow here and put that into place right next to my sentiment here. I think that looks quite attractive, and that will also further help keep my linen thread in place. And then I'm going to just use some rhinestones. So there's 2 things left that I want to do with this. I want to use just some little rhinestones here around the card, and I'm really talking about just a couple, one on either side of my sentiment here, and maybe one up here. And then what I wanted to do was, using my blender pen, we have, I'm going to show them to you here, something coming in the new catalog, and some of you probably even have your new catalogs by now. Did you notice the metal ink that we have? We have silver, gold, and copper ink this time. So I thought it would be kind of fun to take the silver ink, since I used rhinestones here, and put a little bit of that silver ink as little dots on the center of my daisies here. And so just to add a little tiny bit more sparkle to the front of my card. And then I'll do the inside afterwards because I don't want to close the lid again, because this ink takes a little bit to dry. So I'm going to want to make sure that I've got an opportunity to leave my card open and let that ink dry, or use my heat tool to dry it. But there we go. That is the project for today. So thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And thanks to Wanda Williams for letting me use her card in my video here as the inspiration for my card. And let's see. The prize for the month of August is a bundle of your choice out of the new holiday catalog. And all you have to do to get in the drawing is to put an order on my website, www.lbedinger.stampinup.net. You can get to it through my blog, www.ingenuity.com. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. I had a lovely little note from a woman who said that she wanted me to be her demonstrator and she'd give me a call. Now, I haven't heard, so please call. I've had several people take advantage of the Coming on My Team invitation. If you purchase a starter kit, we've got a couple weeks left in August. For $99, you get $165 worth of product. $155 when you purchase your starter kit, and then you get another $10 coupon, in this case in September, towards your first order. So, and your first minimum, because of the time of year that you start, isn't until the end of December. So it's a wonderful time to join. If you've ever thought about it, give me a holler. I'd be happy to chat with you about it. No pressure, just give you the information. And let's see, that offer is only through the end of the month. So again, that's it for me. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye.